We have started the live stream. We're just waiting for a couple more people to join.
Whoops, thanks, I'll mute.
I made it. Okay. Are we still waiting for quorum? Looks like it.
Sal, are you still planning on being on our meeting with Interior Health later at 6:30?
You bet.
Good.
I've already put a couple of questions in.
Good for you.
I think we're just waiting for Tony, right? I think we can start with the board roundtable. Is that okay with everyone if we call this meeting back to order? Kristen, you're good?
Yes, that should be good, Chair. Thank you.
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
Chair. We're good to go. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for everyone being back here. We're on 11.1 and we're doing the board roundtable. So where shall we start? Start with area A, please. Sal, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I've got three things to talk about. One, at the last Northern Development Initiative Trust regional meetings, I made a resolution to the effect that for small nonprofit associations that get funding and have cash flow issues, that if the funding is reimbursement style, that the staff look into options for them. And it was carried, and from that came, I guess you want to call it a outcome that was very positive for one of our small nonprofit associations in the Bridge River Valley in Area A. So that was a win-win for everybody, because that's for all small nonprofits, just not the one that I was referring to. At the Thompson Regional Hospital meeting, I talked about the Interior Health, well, the province, they came up with about over 180 rural remote communities where they do vaccine clinics for people 18 and over. And in Interior Health, there were 61, and Lillooet was one of them, but Goldbridge was not. So I made the comment that it would have been nice if Goldbridge was in on it. So shortly after that, I had communication back from one of the Interior Health people, and we talked about having one of those clinics in Goldbridge. And lo and behold, on May the 20th, we're going to have one. It's going to be for people that didn't book into the Lillooet one, which is this week. It's all 5 days this week that it's happening. And both me and my wife had our shots on Monday. But there's still a number of people in Goldbridge that will go to that 20th one. And also the second dose, it'll be held in Goldbridge also. The last one is with our MLA Mahdi meetings. And we've had one now, and I was working with Sarah on the repaving of the Braylorn Street with Mahdi. And at that meeting, I found out that BC Hydro had sent in a letter to Mahdi regarding safety concerns that they've got on Road 40 and Mission Mountain Road. So I met with the engineer, actually 3 engineers, and Sabrina that was on the call earlier with BC Hydro. And I was able to get the letter that they sent in, and very similar items that we've been working on. So I asked them if they'd like to get an invitation to the MLA meeting with Mahdi, and they did. And I did communicate with Jackie Tackert's office, and they're going to be on the next meeting, which is in June. So all very positive things that have transpired in the last little bit here. That's all, thanks.
Thank you. We'll go to area B, please.
Thank you. Since Director Weeb's not here, I know what she's doing, which is volunteering at the COVID clinic. Those clinics have been running pretty well here all week. I have a vaccine for myself scheduled on Friday. I did volunteer. I did all the training. I said, all I need is a little lead time. And they phoned me on Thursday to work all week this week. I said, sorry, but I do know I've got enough nurses. So there it is, right? That's kind of how Interior Health does things. And we are describing what's happening with the medical staffing here. As I said, at our Thompson Regional Health Board, this is like watching a slow moving train wreck, you guys. But I don't think we're going to have any action until we have to close the hospital. The Saskatoons are in bloom, and the Husham it's called, it seems to coincide with the hummingbirds coming back. So that's pretty neat. And with our pool initiative, to have it open for 10 months this year, the goal was to raise $200,000. And our group within the first 5 weeks has raised like $120,000. Just amazing. So we're feeling pretty optimistic, I know, about meeting that goal. And lots of good things are happening around that. And also, this is pitch-in week. And my car is full of bags of garbage, and the dog doesn't like it. So we have to finish tomorrow by like 3 so I can make it to the landfill. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, let's go. It looks like Mike's frozen, so let's go to Kathy Whistler, and we'll come back.
Golly, I thought you might do that one, Jen. Let's see, we had a very successful vaccination clinic. I can't tell you how many people came through, but it was substantial. We know how many, we just can't talk about it. Let's see. We're working on our summer experience plan. You mentioned it earlier in the meeting. We're also very concerned about what's going to happen this summer with crowds. So we're working on some plans to disperse people more and also deal with cars. So we're going to be charging for parking at our parks. We're going to, though the parking fees will pay for enforcement and shuttle buses. The other thing that's happening alongside that is we're doing some major utilities installations on Alta Lake Road and also in Alta Vista, which is where some of our busiest parks are. So we're anticipating to have some traffic issues around our parks as well. So those buses are going to be really important. Let's see. I'm going to let, we've just done our fee for service. Can't really talk about that. I'm going to let Jen fill you in on everything else we've been working on our phase 2 Cheakamus Crossing, 100 units. A lot of the boxes now are checked as far as the planning documents and all the required financing from the municipality. So Jen's take it away from there.
We applied for the UBCM stream funding for safe recovery, what's it called? Social services grant funding for $450,000 to help with gap funding for shelter units, food security, outreach. We're seeing, as every other community is seeing, a massive increase in our outreach requests from Whistler Community Services, Sea to Sky Community Services, and House on Women's Center. And so we've applied for that funding to help us get those nonprofits out into the community, and not that they aren't already, but just to help with that funding. And what else? I think that's it. I have a million notes here. I attended a really great seminar hosted by a group called Higher Ground through the I'm lost right now. Anyways, I encourage everyone to look up donut economics. It's a really fascinating model of recovery and sort of holistic economic model for communities to really look at how decisions we make affect everyone in our community. And it really centers around people and those interactions. So I strongly recommend looking up donut economics. And now let's go to Pemberton.
Thanks. I don't know what to report. I mean, the discussion is all vaccine all the time. I've been getting lots and lots and lots of pressure to have all Pemberton residents vaccinated in light of the fact that Whistler has been vaccinated now. She's expanding their clinics. So lots of emails, lots of comments, lots of suggestions. I try to explain what is explained to me in terms of the rollout, in terms of the supply, in terms of decisions being made, numbers based and all that sort of thing. But it's hard here when so many of our people are up and down the corridor to Whistler, especially, and to Squamish. So it's making people a little bit anxious around here. It's making people anxious in light of the fact that there was so much traffic up and down the highway this weekend, although it was certainly a different sort of spring traffic. You know, some people were coming into town, but most people were seeking out an FSR somewhere, and they had their cooler full and they were pitching a tent on something close to flat ground and spending the whole weekend there. I know, in speaking with the chief, there, you know, the Lake Road was ridiculous. So I know that was pretty similar scene in a lot of places, but you put that together with the, you know, and it's the kind of business that comes, or people, tourism that comes, but doesn't really do anything for business. And it's just upping the anxiety level again when you consider that everybody's getting vaccinated. Having said that, with the 40 and up being now approved for AstraZeneca, you know, we did get a good chunk of our population through the Whistler Community Clinic, so that was great. And we're hopeful that we can get some through the pharmacy clinics and keep moving along. But it's been a lot to manage, and there's been a lot of anxiety in the community. What else? I mean, really, that's the big parts. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you, really. Did
your baby chickens arrive?
I did. I could send you a picture. They're very cozy.
Please do. I appreciate that.
It's so hard. Temperature at the beginning. Yeah.
Let's go to Area C, please. Director Mack.
Well, I'm going to save mine for tomorrow morning when I have to do my verbal update of Area C. But the only thing I will say, this is for Vivian's benefit. I did drive over the High Line to Seaton the other day to check the road out, and it's the best it's ever been in 40 or 50 years that I've driven it. So it's looking good. All we got to do now is make sure they maintain it. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Director Jewett.
Yeah, on that grant, the Strengthening Families, I think a really important point is that we don't have a women's shelter in Whistler. And so when people need to find shelter or a safe house, they have to go to Squamish or Pemberton. And so, first of all, I'd like to thank those communities for their support. But we're hoping this is the first step towards us being able to take care of our own.
Thank you. Okay, we've done A, B, and C. Let's do D. And then we'll round it out with Squamish. Go ahead, Director Rainbow.
Thank you. Well, what to say? First of all, if you're driving past Britannia in the next while, just slow down, take a look. And those old buildings, they've been put up on higher thingies, and they're way off the ground now. They've been putting the girders underneath, ready to really move them onto site. They've got big machines digging holes and moving dirt around, and the community is really, I don't think excited is quite the right word, because this has been going on for so long, but certainly relieved to see some action, that things are moving. It's within our lifetimes now when a store will be back there, and a community hall and things like that. So that's really it's really great to see. And just one comment about the influx of people. This last weekend, we were sort of like a micro study of the whole region, if you like. We got a ton of people here, parking all over the parking lots at Ferry Creek, where the Oliver's Landing there, they were full. The parking lot on the area parking up near the mailboxes on Ferry Creek Drive, that was, I don't know, must have been 40 or 50 cars up there. But well over 200 people on the beach. And my neighbor and I, we did a quick run through on Monday morning to pick up garbage, and there wasn't any. We were amazed and very pleased, because we got a couple of signs asking people to pack things out, and they clearly had. There was not, well, one small plastic bag, and we half filled it, but considering the number of people that've been there, there was no garbage at all. So it'd be nice if that kind of ethos would apply over the whole region. Nothing much we can do to force that, but apart from that, everything going on here has got to do with toilets and sewers, so I don't think you need to know anything about that. At Pinecrest and Black Tusk and everywhere else. So, yeah, there we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Rainbow. Squamish, who'd like to go first?
I think I'll be providing the update today. So a few things to report out on. Yesterday at council meeting, we adopted our low carbon incentive building program, which is very exciting. It is a reductive density program. So it means that across all of our residential, multiple unit residential and mixed use areas, we've reduced the allowable building density across all those areas. If you build using a low carbon system for heating and hot water tanks, then you can build to your otherwise original density. So very excited to see that had passed at our council. We also had a tax rate discussion at our council yesterday, and in our earlier discussions around setting tax rates, In establishing our budget, the early tax roll assessment had estimated the non-market change in Squamish to be just shy of 4%. And with the final tax roll, it came in at about 6.1%. So substantially much larger growth than we had expected, which is helpful for this year to bridge us as we try and recover from COVID-19 and its impacts on our budgets, but also means that we had 600 plus new places come online in this current tax roll, which is also a little bit shocking. And last but not least, coming up at Council next week, our Economic Development Office will be coming forward with some updated modeling on our employment space model, and in particular, some research that they've done around kind of future modeling of what certain types of businesses will need in terms of space going forward. So that'll be an interesting piece of research that ECDev is bringing forward for us to review in terms of what we need for employment space for our community in the years to come. Karen or Director Elliott, if you have anything else you want to add.
Well, I think that was a good update. And we dropped densities by 30% just to make sure people were very much incentivized to avoid fossil fuel infrastructure. So that is a leading policy in the province while we wait for the province to catch up. So feel free to copy.
I like it. Breaking ground. Okay, let's move along to, we are at 12.1, am I correct? CAO Helmer, go ahead, Director Demare.
I'll have to declare a conflict of interest, as my daughter Kara is the bookkeeper for the BRVCA and my wife Debbie is on the board of directors of the BRVCA.
Okay. I'm gonna have to come back to 14.1. Okay, thank you. Could I have, so this is a request for funding for the Braylorn Recreation Area Committee for an area project coordinator in the amount of $19,000 from the Area A PILT funds. And could I have someone make that motion? Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Jewett. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Can we do 14.1? He didn't, because that was adopted in the original agenda, right?
Yes, 14.1 was adopted in the original agenda.
Should we deal with it now? Although he has to make that declaration, doesn't he?
Yeah, he would need to be there. For that.
Yeah.
We have to call him back.
Yeah, no problem.
I recommend we keep it in order.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, welcome back, Director Demare. We're on 12.2. This is a request for funding for the Paradise Valley Leaseholders Association road maintenance. And I would like to refer this back to staff to answer the questions and then to come back with a report. But I'll put this to Director Rainbow, as this is your area, if you feel comfortable with that motion.
They need to see some action sooner rather than later. Let me give you a little bit of background here. There are about 30 families living up in there, or 30 people, groups. Most of their properties are leased from the government. They have one huge issue at the moment in that one person in particular has seen their lease payment go up from $6,000 last year to $20,000 this year. Jordan Sturdy has been asking questions in the House about it. So we hope there'll be some improvement in that. But even setting that aside, this road is a BC Hydro road that they're not interested in anymore, so they do nothing to it. So the only money available to do anything on this road comes from those 30 people. And we really can't tax them any more than they're being taxed at the moment. So I think the long-term solution for them is, and that we should be working towards, is for MOTI to take over this road so it becomes a public road. If it were a sort of a driveway that just led to those 30 communities, the 30 families, then I'd be prepared to accept the argument that they needed to support it. But it's not. It's access to the Sea to Sky Trail. It's used by a commercial rafting company to take their clients up there. It's used by goodness knows how many other people from Squamish and beyond Squamish to get through there and up into areas where they want to fish and camp. So to expect those 30 families to maintain that road, I think is totally unreasonable. So the kind of support they need is, well, I mean, if we want to consider it as part of the Sea to Sky Trail, maybe we can get some money from that way. When that was opened, just at the end of this road, Whistler, Pemberton, and Squamish fully supported the Sea to Sky Trail. And so presumably knowing that it would generate a lot of traffic on this road. So that's what I'm dealing with this relatively small group of people within Area D. So if we do refer to staff, I want it as a real priority item so that we can come up with some kind of a solution.
Okay, so we've brought Director Belsham in to hear your concerns and to potentially advise us on first steps and next steps and what we can do quickly here.
Currently, as Director Rainbow mentioned, we do have a cost center for maintenance of that 1 kilometer of road. However, it is a very small cost center, and currently what is covered is the snow clearing to ensure that it's kept to the same standard as the road leading up to the bridge. Also grading twice per year and inspections of that road twice per year. Now, as we all know, the Jack Webster Bridge is slated for replacement, and we have been in discussions with our contractor who maintains that road, and due to the weight limits that are now put on that bridge, we are unable to move any equipment across the bridge in order to address the issues that we currently see. So we are unable to do any grading or filling of those potholes right now because the weight limits cannot support any equipment or fill crossing that bridge. So we are limited until that bridge is replaced on doing anything that would be substantial.
Okay, so I think that in respect of staff and getting an adequate outcome, like we want to have options of how we can either seek the funding from sources untapped thus far, and to get a response to the homeowners that we've heard them, we've received their request, but that we can't just make something happen overnight without funding and as you say, the mechanics of doing it right now is just not there. Even if we had a pile of money, we couldn't do it right now anyway. So I think we want staff to come back with a report of the options. Is that fair? Anyone? Okay, go ahead, Director Rainbow. Are you comfortable with that?
Getting there.
Okay.
There was a commitment when that Sea to Sky Trail was opened for a parking lot just this side of the bridge I'm not quite sure whose land that is. I don't know if Angela knows that, but that I know Alison knows something about it because her comment to the community was that something we could look at in the future. It's something which should have been looked at when the trail first opened. You know, when we've got on our website or on the Sea to Sky Trail website that the trail operator is the SLRD, Ministry of Forests, BC Parks, and then it's got Squamish, Whistler, and Pemberton listed there as well. And if we're going to proudly support the Sea to Sky Trail, then I think we have to keep all of that in mind. And it's not good enough. Our previous mayor of Squamish told me that no way that Squamish was getting involved in that road because it's nothing to do with them. And we had quite a long discussion about that. Well, my point would be that, yes, it does have something to do with the district of Squamish because so many of their residents use it. And I'll say again, it's just not fair that those 30 families there should be supporting that 1 kilometer of road. Even though I know Director Pelsham just said that we have a cost center. Yes, we do, but the only contribution into that cost center is from those 30 homes. And we can't adequately support that road with that existing cost center. Again, I say if it were just a driveway to get to those 30 homes, then I'd tell them, hey, your problem. You've got to pay for it. But that's not the situation. And I don't think morally we should just say hands off. We're not going to have anything to do with it. We need to get involved. We need to get some action. That road needs to be taken over by somebody and funded properly.
Chair?
Go ahead, Director Mack, and then Director Demare.
So they say there's a load limit on the bridge that's there right now. Have they found out exactly what it is? Could a bobcat go across it? You know, just take gravel across in small amounts, fill the potholes in, you know, blade it, backblade it, do whatever. At least make it as passable as possible in the meantime. I mean, there's got to be something that can be done. I'm sure that bridge is more than capable of handling a bobcat. So should find out what the limitations are. Thanks.
Director Belsham, go ahead.
Yes, and staff member Grant Lawyer was able to make a trip onto site yesterday and take photos. So we're going to have an opportunity to look at those and meet to address what we may be able to do in the short term, because we have allocated in the 2021 budget $2,000 for fill. However, we've also gotten some initial quotes from contractor in which to do the remediation required. And we're looking at about probably $77,000 for 1 kilometer of road remediation in which to address some of the drainage issues around the ditching and filling of the potholes. But we will be meeting as a staff to see if there's anything that we can do in the short term, because my understanding is that the bridge will not be replaced until fall, and CAO Helmer may have a more precise timeline, but I think we're looking at probably end of August, beginning of September for that bridge to be, for construction to be completed.
Okay, I saw Director Demare had a comment or a question.
Yeah, you know, I had two comments. One is in the same vein that Russell was talking about. If cars are driving over pickup trucks, then for sure something smaller pieces of equipment can get out there. They also, out and about, there are quite a bit smaller graders out there that are about a third the size or of a regular grader. So yeah, I think staff should be looking into being able to repair what they can repair now with what funding they've got. The other question I've got, I don't know what the road is going to that bridge, prior to the bridge, if it's a MODI, if it's an FSR, whatever it is, but it sounds like from there on, that road is a BC Hydro road. So I know Deputy Mayor over the years on the Hurley, because the center part of the Hurley was a Maudie road, and then either end was an FSR. And she managed to get it all as a FSR. So, and I don't know what's past this road either, because there's no map that goes along with it. But if it's an FSR road past it, then, and if it isn't, there's, you know, go to Maudie and see if they'll take that road over. That is 30 properties there. And it is a ground lease that these people are paying into. So it really makes sense that that road was a Maudie road.
Okay.
Or an FSR road.
So I don't want to cut off the conversation and make anyone feel like that this isn't important. But we do need information in front of us. I don't want to continue to speculate on what we could do or try and direct anything further. I really want us to go back to staff and have staff come back with appropriate options that for funding and how we can make this work with the limitations of the bridge and the road and the machinery required. So could I move that? Can I have someone move that? Moved by Director Birch-Jones, seconded by Director Demare. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. As I said at the beginning, I have a stop at 4 o'clock. So I am going to turn the chair over to Director Birch-Jones. And I will see you all tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
I also have to go.
Okay.
Thank you. My apologies for leaving early.
And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you all. And thanks, Director Birch-Jones, for taking over.
Okay. Do we still have a quorum losing those two? Yes. So then logically, we are on item 12.3, request for funding, Squamish Trail Society. Feel free to help me out, you guys. Maintenance and repairs, Sea to Sky Trail. And Angela Belsham, would you like to speak to this?
I would. Allison was going to join us for this, but it doesn't look like she's. Oh, there she is. I will let her speak to that, as she's been working with the partners who have an interest in doing some remediation on the trail. Hi, Allison. I'm deferring to you for this one.
Okay, thank you. Allison McDonald, Parks and Trails Coordinator. As I've just jumped in, I'm not sure how much Director Belsham has shared, but we're really pleased to see the Squamish Trail Society offer to co-fund the repairs on this trail. The estimate is for about $6,000. They are putting forward $3,000. Their original request was for the SRD to provide $3,000 as well, but since this letter arrived, Trans-Canada Trail also volunteered to pay for a portion of it up to 40%. So our portion might be quite minimal. That being said, just in case there are some cost overruns, I would recommend that we still provide a grant of up to $3,000 for the balance of the funding for this, just in case they need a little extra. And that money would come from the Sea to Sky Trail Cost Center Operational Reserve.
Comments, questions, I think Mike Richmond and Tony Rainbow.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. That's what I was doing.
Okay, moved and seconded, and I see Director Clark.
Thanks, Chair. So this is for funding of up to $3,000? Okay.
That's correct.
Moved and seconded.
And
Anyone?
sorry.
Yep.
So sorry. Is this a receipts? Are we reimbursing them, or are we providing the money up front, or have we given any thought about that?
They will be managing the project, so we would refund them on provision of receipts.
Thank you. I believe that's what everybody, that was the motion? Was that the motion? Okay, thank you.
Oh, everyone's clear. Anyone opposed to that motion? All right, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12.4, support City of Penticton, BC government's use of provincial, I'm not sure how to pronounce paramountcy. Paramountcy, thank you. To undermine local government bylaws. Director Needham?
Everyone's clear.
Or
Anyone
is that
opposed?
why you popped up on the screen?
Hi. No, I was just asked to be here for
My
the
audio. My internet is really breaking up. So I think Kim is saying she might be here for another topic. Do people want to speak about item 12.4?
I'd like to move receipt.
Move receipt, moved by Director Elliott, seconded by Director Stoner. And Director Matt? Did you want to oppose that or?
No, just seconding it, that's fine.
Okay, so any opposed? Motion carried. Item 12.5, we're still following the original agenda. Request for support, Sunshine Coast Conservation Association, Flynn Row Visual Quality Objectives Order. Comments?
I'll move receipt.
Move receipt, seconded by?
Do we,
I'll second that.
Seconded by Director Mack. Yes, Director Rainbow.
moving receipt implies that we don't much care about it one way or the other, doesn't it? What does that mean if we move receipt?
I wouldn't phrase it quite that way. I would say it means that we don't have an action on it. That comes from.
It's an issue for Area D. And I would have thought an issue for Squamish as well. And it actually is an issue for the whole of the Sea to Sky. You know, they're talking about where logging occurs and what it looks like, what it does to the visual landscape. I would have thought we should do something more than just move receipt of that. I think there's a meeting. Maybe I got this under a separate copy, but there's a meeting coming up about this.
I see Director Elliott.
Thank you. Do we have, I think
And
Director
Stoner.
Rainbow's right in that it does impact us, but do we have a process for responding to these things from a staff level?
Through the chair, that's a good question. We don't actually have staff that are actively engaged in that type of initiative. It's more something that the elected officials advocate for. And staff would provide whatever support would be appropriate to all of you in those advocacy initiatives.
I think, did I skip you, Director Stoner?
Yeah, I was just going to speak
Did I
and
miss
say
you?
that this will be there will be a presentation related to this at the Howe Sound Community Forum on Friday. So for those communities that may be directly impacted, you'll be able to learn more. Appreciate that doesn't change the timeline for response, but that is a direct opportunity to engage with Flynn Row and provide feedback. So I'm happy personally to move receipt at this level and use that opportunity to provide feedback. And if anybody on the board has specific feedback, then feel free to let us know, and those who are attending that meeting can bring it forward.
Thank you. Director Rainbow.
I would prefer us just to send a brief letter to support the Sunshine Coast Conservation Association in asking for the deadline for comments to be extended from April the 30th to at least the end of June. I mean, that's not a huge thing to do, and I think they need whatever support we can give them.
Fair enough.
So I'd make a motion to that if, no, can I do that? There's a motion.
There's already a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
So shall we defeat the motion that's on the floor? Is that the lead? I see Director Clark.
Thanks, Chair. There could be an amendment to, we've already moved to receive, and we could make an amendment to receive and to write the letter to request the deadline extension.
That would be helpful. So a motion to receive as well as write the letter supporting the request to extend the comment period deadline. I'm comfortable with that. Is everyone else? So we have the same mover and seconder on that. And then I just ask if anyone is opposed. Director Stoner? Okay.
I guess I had a question on that. Like, I appreciate the willingness to want to support the request, but do we have an intention to provide feedback on this as the regional district or the board, or what is the purpose of requesting the extended timeline?
The amount of time that FLIMRO gave for comment was short, as these timelines usually are. So Sunshine Coast Conservation have asked for they're pushing for an extension to give them more time to the end of June 2021. So even if we don't want to do anything else, I think we could at least support their request to give them more time. We may decide ourselves in the next while, having heard what is said on Friday at the House Town Forum, we might decide that we want to be more actively involved. Sending a letter now saying, please extend the deadline, or we support your request to get this deadline extended, doesn't commit us to any further action, but it doesn't preclude further action either.
Director Elliott?
From a process point of view, we have to have a mover and a seconder of the amendment to the motion, but also what this asks for is meaningful consultation, which means that FLINRO would have to provide information to local government, and then people can decide whether to respond or not. So I think it's reasonable to send a letter of support. And as Director Rainbow said, it doesn't necessarily mean that the SLRD has to respond, but it means that FLINRO has to make the effort to engage, which they haven't, not with local government. So I would second Tony's amendment to the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So the amended motion has been seconded, and Director DeMare, you had your hand up.
Yeah, we've got a very similar concern up in our area with the 10-year annual allowable cut concerns. They were doing them every 5 years now. Our area hasn't been done. The Lillooet timber supply area annual allowable cut hasn't been reviewed for 10 years now, and the First Nations are getting consultation already, where local government and everybody else doesn't. And I think Vivian saw my reply back to Cascades Forest District that was doing it. And we are going to get input once they have the final version done, so that we can comment on it. But they should have done it sooner, consulting with us quite a bit sooner, and it's an issue. And this is very similar. Why wasn't the SLRD notified with that? And that's the issue, is that only They put it out in the paper and that's it. And then it's up to you. Where they should be coming and consulting, they do it with the First Nations. And I know my wife Debbie, she was involved heavily into this whole conversation of local governments getting information that they request. The BRVCA has a Natural Lands and Resource Committee, and we're setting up a meeting, and we've had meetings with 3 licensees, major licensees in the Lillooet TSA, and we're having one coming up. We didn't have one last year due to COVID, but we're setting one up again this year, and they're invaluable because they give us their 1-year plans and future plans so that we understand what's going on. And with this visual quality concern that you have down there, it's imperative that people get involved because you can't go back after once the regulations are all in place. You're done. So you have to be upfront. So,
I agree. So we're just trying to support this idea of meaningful consultation, reasonable
exactly.
timelines.
And I'm good with the amendment.
Okay. So that amended motion has been seconded. Anyone opposed? Amended motion carried. How is that? Kristen, I'm waiting for you to put your hand up. Yes.
Yes, and now call the question on the main motion.
And now to call the question on the main motion. In favor? Opposed? You only have to put your hand up if you're opposed. Okay, that one is carried as well. Good grief. Now we're moving into late business. Something that just crossed my mind. Did we actually have to make a motion? No? No? Okay. So I'm looking at the new agenda here. 14.1, Director's Report. Talisker Resources Request for Letter of Concurrence Telecommunications. Oh, Director Demare. Is that the right item? And in that case, Director Demare, are you asking to leave or are you staying with us?
I'm staying.
Okay, good. Would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, Talisker Resources, which owns the Braylorn gold mine, is they're going to be setting up a camp just outside of Goldbridge. And one of the things that they're doing is they're wanting to put in a communication tower. The land that they're on is one of their mineral claims. And I know Kim has been working with them also to make sure that that everything's okay with the SLRD as far as permits and everything goes, and everything falls basically under the Mineral Act. So the letter of concurrence is for them doing their due diligence with communicating with the public, and I feel that they have. So I would like to move this motion.
Okay, moved by Director Demare. Seconded by Director Mack. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next thing I see is Director's Notice of Motion. And following that, we get to recess for the Squamish-Lillooet Regional Committee of the Whole meeting. And so that is all we need to do at this point, right? Recess. And I see Jenna nodding, so that's very thank you. Well, I'm smarter in the morning, you guys. Tomorrow we really have to finish in time for me to get to the landfill. Motion then, do we even need a motion to recess? I would, no.
No, you can just recess it.
Oh, I'm getting some nods and look at.
It is our practice to have a motion to recess.
Oh.
Motion by Southfair to recess, and that's okay. Director Rainbow is also in agreement. Okay, then we're done until tomorrow morning when we sign in on the closed COW agenda, right? At 9?
Will be for the open chair. The open